When you end up a marriage,
Okay.
Don't drink too much.
Huh? Oh, no.
You don't get that?
Yeah, I'd be careful. I have to be careful with coffee.
When I drink empty stomach, I go.
Yeah, no, I have to be real careful how much I drink. This is my third cup.
How long have you been doing this? 18. Just 18. So many. I'm sure those like changing or matches is really bad for me. You're not a match. But I
How are you? Good. You?
These guys are if you want to come, just let me know because I got to sit on it. So, but yeah, so if you want to go, just let me know. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I should have marked my seat. No, it's okay. I can sit here. We have two seats. Yeah, it's fine. Sorry. Oh, thank you. I'm not ready.
Yeah.
I haven't read mine.
It was 75 or something. 27.
No, actually, just said.
This one in San Francisco for 500. You see, mine has a special label and the others don't. So that's what that label was.
Democrats are voting to enhance Medicare for illegals. No, come on, right here.
That boys in the front seats, we can hear and see.
Oh, yeah, you know how you ask old people if they want more chicken? You want more chicken?
Really good. I'm trying to work out here.
Yeah, I'm taking back my big ones, and because
Those in ears are not as good.
I've done, well, these are really good.
Oh, are they?
Oh, these are, I have double microphones over here. Yeah, they're fantastic. Except way in the back. But I just don't want to go chicken.
What things do you use? What's the name?
Yeah, it's
I've gone back to the whole year one.
Yeah, that's what I'm gonna do.
Yeah.
Yeah, but do a whole different thing.
Yeah.
Wyatt Brooks.
Oh, 697. That's it.
This guy is phenomenal. Because he's a pro at it. He's not just,
Right, so I'm not deaf, but it's just conversation about it. Oh, okay. Yeah.
sure what you're saying. And I've had hearing
I'll give you a little time here. You'll see.
Yeah, it's the other thing, you get what you pay for.
It's on the construction board. It's at his winery.
Who's that?
Oh, yeah.
I never heard of it.
Thousands and thousands of lots.
I went to the very first time. I think it was 6th grade.
Good morning, everybody. We're going to get started. Grab a seat. Grab your seats. Anybody pick up on that? Grab your seat. Anyone paying attention?
Yeah. No, no.
Anyone? Bueller? Well, good morning. Welcome. Glad you're here. It's good to see everybody. Trying to catch my breath here before we get started. Just a quick second here. It is busy right now. I don't know if anyone can tell, but it's busy everywhere, right? There's plenty of seats, plenty of room to sit, everybody. But we're glad you made the time to be here. We always feel like it's important, but wow, there's a lot going on right now. Before we get started, though, we want to just any visitors or guests that we want to. I see Patrick Tolbert here. Hi, Patrick. Thanks, Patrick. I mean, I needed something last minute. He just jumped on it the following morning. I'm not saying that's what he always can do, but thank you for jumping on that, Patrick, and being willing to help.
Hi, Paul.
Hi. You gonna join us?
Sorry.
That's okay. Anybody here for the first time or guests that I'm overlooking that just joined us since this last meeting? You've joined us, right? You've been a guest, though. We won't embarrass you, though.
Oh, okay.
Debbie. You know?
Denise.
Sorry. We won't embarrass you. I'll embarrass myself by using the wrong name. Anyone else that's new here for the first time? No? Everybody's been here before? John, have you been here before? John Golden, he's been with us a few weeks, but first time in the meeting, so I think there's plenty of seats. Grab a seat.
Hi, John.
There's people you know, apparently. Today's class is a CE hour. Kim, is a clipboard going around?
Not yet.
So Kim, go ahead, Kim. Come on up and do your thing. What's that?
He said, I'll just say, okay, you guys are getting a credit hour today. That's all I'll say today.
What's that?
Right? That's not like me. Hey, to all the new people at Moore, congratulations. This is such a wonderful place to be. We just keep growing and growing as a family. And I say that as a family just because no matter when we first started, and it was about 4 years ago, and we had a small group of agents that were here. The culture is still exactly the same. It really is. And I just totally enjoyed working with you guys. I've been working with a whole bunch of you since, you came on board and, since the beginning of the opening of the doors here. So please do reach out to me if there's anything you need. If you need any kind of marketing, assistance, tools, things like that, I'm just here for you. So here to support you.
Thank you. As a compliment to you, just say it this way, that we've never closed the door to any other title company. We never have. She's the only one who bothers, I'll be honest. They're all welcome, and they might show up for one meeting and never show up again, and we're not going to chase them. So thank you for chasing us, Kim, and for all your support.
I work hard, and I
Appreciate that.
this culture, I've been doing this for 18 years, and I've never seen, you know, so much education, so much caring from, you know, all of the different members of the agency and everything. And you guys really have a unique thing here. You really do. And like somebody just, who was it that said, I think it was it Simon? Where is he? He said, oh, this is like your home away from home. You should probably have a key. You want that in the back? You know, because I'm here practically every day. But yeah, no, it's, thank you.
Kim.
I
Thank you.
love being
Well,
part
kind
of
of
this.
as a follow-on to that, just a little bit too, as you know, there's a lot going on right now. We're making a lot of tool changes and making a lot of improvements and trying to support our customers are you guys, right? It's not the buyers and sellers, it is. But our customers as a company are you. So we're always trying to improve and stay on top of things and provide new things and value. So as we do that and as we grow, thank you for your patience. We're learning a little bit as we go on some levels, trying to figure some things out. I mean, we've never expected it to be this busy and this much growth. Apparently we've created something that's attractive, I guess, to the masses. And there's more to follow. We're really excited about the stuff we're getting ready to roll out from a technology and a benefit perspective and stuff. We'll talk more about it at the Christmas party on December 10th, which we'll talk about in a second. But so just as a follow-on, thank you, Kim, for everything you do. She's been with us like day 4. Is it about? And so thank you very much. And we used to meet in there with 4 of us.
Yes.
In the theater.
4 agents, yeah.
Not that long ago, and away we go. So thank you for all your support.
Thank you.
Thanks. Tom wasn't related to Kim.
I was just gonna say that, you know, I've known her for about 18 years, and she is just always making sure that we are taken care of here. Always.
Eric Kroll, you want to say hello? The in-house lender, I guess, if you will, because we're in the same house, right?
Right, but not an in-house lender, right? So, only working together because we want to, right? We don't have a CE class following the CE hour today, but we do on most Tuesdays. I'll take a little bit longer, less than 2 minutes this morning, though, to tell you about a couple of things that are working for your fellow agents. Every time we do CE, you hear us say, not only do we want you to get the hour, but we want you to learn something new and see new business within your sphere. And we hope you walk away with that every time that we do a CE for you. So a couple of success stories recently, just to let you know about, because we've done CE on them. If any of you remember or went to my non-QM class, we've done it a couple of times. There's a product called DSCR, Debt Service Coverage Ratio Loan, which is a way to buy investment properties. And the nice thing about it is all we consider, well, I shouldn't say all, the credit score and the down payment, but for income, all we consider is the rental income. So I'll give you an example that Julie Fredrich, is that how you say her last name? One of your brethren and I did recently. Young woman in McMinnville, already owns her own home, had a iffy credit score, not outstanding, but had 20% down, bought a triplex using this program. So cash flowed positive, $600 a month, buying a triplex, getting in the investment property business, using the I call it the rents only program. So if you know people who would like to get into investment properties, here's a way for them to do it, even if they don't have traditional income that supports them making that purchase. You can also get groups of people to do it together. So a group of investors can come together and we can close that in an LLC. So a really powerful product that you will run into people out there who that'll work for, okay? We've closed 3 recently. I believe Lori and or Ryan did a, on their low or no down CE hour. They talked about a program where we match a second, so it's 100% financing. It's actually 101%. The second loan can cover 1% of closing costs, as well as getting it from the seller contributed closing costs. We've closed 3 people who now was the time to get into the market. They were able to afford it, but they didn't have a down payment, where they had very little. So 3 people in the last month, 2 of which I think came from more deals, got to buy homes when they didn't have a down payment. So there's a lot of stuff out there. By all means, we love 20% down, easy, high credit score and all that, right? But we also we all run into buyers and people who, from a market standpoint, it's good for them to get in the market because the market is moving away from them, right? And rents are high. So we have ways to get people into those loans. So 6 of us down here now, 6 originators, 9 of us total. Talking about being roommates, right? A lot more roommates now. But come down, ask any questions. Hopefully you begin to develop a relationship with one of us at least. And we encourage that, and we're here to help. And the difference, the way I say, not an in-house lender, is we don't expect people to just bring us stuff, right? And that's my impression of in-house lenders. Not to offend any of the good ones, right? But a lot of them just sit there and want stuff to happen. We want to be helping you. We want to be bringing you ideas and tools and resources to help you grow your business.
It's worth a few minutes of your time to talk to one of them. And you want to really freak them out when you leave today, go file all the way down this hall. Go hi to everybody as you go and introduce yourself.
A couple are out of town tonight, or today.
Yeah, you want to, what's going on?
That's right.
Fire!
Yeah.
Did you want to just mention real quick about the class that you're going to be doing on the 7th?
I have some more information on that,
Okay,
so if
I was
do
gonna
you
say,
mind?
do you wanna
Yeah, he's not teaching it, so he's on the fringe, but Patrick Palmer, who is the executive VP of Cross Country Mortgage, will be teaching a business planning class on Thursday. It's 10 to noon. It's 1 CE hour because of the topic. They can only justify one of the hours being CE, but at least part of it CE.
Right.
We've had 70 people sign up,
Okay.
so but there's room. I'll send it out again via Basecamp so you can sign up.
And that's over off Meadows Road.
It's not here.
That's not here. So the CE hour, I think you're going to enjoy all 3 hours, but the CE.
2.
2 hours, that's right. We remembered it was realtors.
3 hours, you started. Yeah, 3 hours, no one registered.
Right. Yeah. So the CE hour is about what's going on with the economy and how it's affecting you all and us, right? And what to expect, and you'll really enjoy that if that stuff resonates with you at all. The next hour, I think, is really, again, us trying to bring you value. Our planning tools to plan your year, right? So everyone wants to do more next year. Who wants to do more business next year? Anyone?
Who doesn't? Come on.
Who has a written plan to do more business next year? Fewer hands, right? So this is going to be some simplified ways to do that, right? And you might even get stats. I don't know, I haven't seen this particular presentation on the amount of success difference, the percentage difference of if you write it down versus if you want it, right? Who's ever heard of hope is not a strategy?
Well, what's the saying too? Where performance is measured, performance improves.
Right.
And if you have nothing that you're working toward, it's not nearly as productive as if you have something you're working toward. Make sense? And so that's really what this is about, give you something to work toward. Fair enough?
And then when we did this, was it last year, maybe the year before, I also offered, once people made their plans, for me to be an accountability partner with you guys, to make sure you don't just put it in a drawer and forget about it for a year, and now that you've done that task. I have to do it too with my business. But, I'd love to just sit down and go, okay, first quarter, these are what your goals are. So what have you been doing to get to your goal? I'll be an accountability partner if that's what you need.
Well, thank you.
All right.
Denise, did you have anything? Okay. Derek, anything from you?
I'm good.
Okay. Nikki and I will take a minute here in just a second on some of the changes, but who here, this is a visual survey only. Who here did not receive the text about this meeting I sent out last night? Text. I sent a text message out. Okay, we'll just need to spot check it. It's just a text. It comes from 797979. All of you are programmed in there. We might need to have a few people opt in. But every class, we send out a text message to the company saying, don't forget. How many people have unsubscribed from Basecamp? How many read the stuff from Basecamp? Any of you don't read it? There's too much coming from Basecamp for my email, so I turn email notifications off.
Right.
I just get a little button down here that tells me you got a message to read. That's all I do. I don't. That happened. connect. Okay. So I get a little indication down here that I got a message, so, but the communication comes via, we usually don't send email because people get, it always gets spammed. Text, voicemail, broadcast, occasional email, we'll send that out, but just watch for information from the company. Clearly, you heard something about the meeting somewhere, you wouldn't be here, right? But it's just a quick visual check just to see for the moment. Calendar for the next few days. Again, in Basecamp, you can always check under More HQ, and then schedule, and all the classes and meetings that are in everything, events that are all on here. So this week, there's no CE after. There's a business planning event, and I'm gonna, for fun, gonna just send it out to the whole company again. I can send it to somebody. I can hit select everyone. And if you've already registered and don't want it, just ignore the send, but I just sent everybody in case you need to register. Okay? The whole company just got that notification again, as long as you have it unsubscribed to Basecamp. But we have tool training on Thursday. I gotta wait for that to stop sending so I can get back to my calendar. Come on. A little big pregnant silent pause here. Okay. Let's go back into calendar. There's a manufactured home certification class also this Thursday. And as you know, we have manufactured home license. You have to have a license to do in-park. You can't do in-park on your own. You have to have a license, and it's a separate comp plan and separate instructions, separate training. So if you're interested in that, there's a class on Thursday for that. And then more following. But what I want to point out specifically now is on December 10th, we have our fifth annual Christmas luncheon. To start out with, I think Denise and I went to lunch. But then we've had, 20 people, 30, 60. Last year we had 120 or something at the thing. So if you haven't registered and can attend, we're going to keep sending that out with more information. I want to invite you that we have some announcements and things we'll make there, but also we'll have a More Gives silent auction benefiting the More Gives Foundation. Christine, you want to take a couple minutes from there or up here? Why don't you come up here because you'll be on camera. You stand right in front of it. No. Okay.
We're so excited about the More Gives. I don't know if any of you have checked the link on Basecamp yet, but I encourage you all to do that. The website's up and running. It's beautiful. And immediately, this is our third year, we're doing the basket raffle. And of course, the cash jar is the #1 most popular item. And we'd like to get this all filled so that it really encourages raffle sales. All the raffle prizes will benefit More Gives, and we're building that account in order to give back to our community.
For those that aren't aware, we have a nonprofit called More Gives Foundation, 501c3. All donations are tax deductible. You get the tax break on them, and we benefit various scholarship funds and other community type things.
All kinds of things, and we really encourage everyone's input on that. And then, side note, I brought some children's hats that my daughter designed. She had a company that she closed down. These were all of her samples. I want no money for them. Please help yourself. I'm going to bring a whole box, but in exchange, do a donation to the cash jar.
Yeah, that's one of the prizes, right?
Yes.
So the more cashes that are in there, you just get it. How do we have a lot of money in there last year.
$500. We've had
something.
as much as $500 in this.
And
So we'd like to
whoever
do
wins
that.
that drawing, you just take the cash, it's yours.
Yeah, it's
That's one
yours.
of the prizes.
Yep. So that's
Don't take it today.
Oh, and one last thing. We need about 12 raffle prizes. We've got 4 or 5 committed already. Of course, this is #1. And so we need about 6 more would be wonderful. So any ideas of an awesome thing, call me.
Okay, thank you, Christine.
I'll take your money.
I have to share a funny text I just got. My daughter does this to me all the time. My daughter's just sent me a text. What do you want for Christmas, goober butt? She called me goober butt all the time, I don't know why.
So can we start calling you?
No! Don't call me goober. It's funny, it's unique to her. Anyway, this is kind of funny, this came in, it's making me smile. Okay, so I know we're taking a lot of time and announcements and things today. We are gonna hit some content here shortly on writing offers and that. But there's been a lot of changes, a lot of rolling out and stuff, so we just wanna make sure we just verbally give you a couple things. We are leaving the Broker Sumo platform. They were taking anywhere from 5 to 7 days to make the direct deposits. The reporting's kind of jacked up. The service level really dropped. They got bought by Inhabit Realty, and ever since then it's just changed. So we have made a change. All the commissions are being processed out of a program called Loft 47 and or Routable. You will get today, I just sent Tracy, the author authority, you'll get the Loft 47 login to the platform today and log on and play around. Don't panic, your data's not in there, it's just your account where everything will be put into, and that's where all the stuff's gonna be processed out of. It links to a free version of a zero accounting platform that you can upgrade and use, and you have access to all kinds of information too, so watch for that email. Please be patient. It's the first time you process a commission check, and I'll just let you say it. Is that okay? What do you want me to say it?
The first time, don't judge it by the first time. It always takes longer. Both sides are vetting the other side. So, but after the first one processes, they should be processing in 1 day.
Yeah, there's 20, and there's an upgraded version where, for a small fee, if you want to get it same day, depending what time the check comes in, that's even available. So instead of waiting what used to be 5 days, you can we brought it down to like 24 to 40 hours of deposit. That better?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we want to encourage all of you to use it because it's simple, and there's going to be a way for you soon to, this week, you have to re-enter your credit card info because we're changing that. You can also use your checking account instead of just the credit card for those who'd rather do that. That's available. So a lot of behind the scenes changes and a lot of frantic, hard-working hours to pull this together. So thank you, Nikki. I mean, she's done a lot on this. Oh my gosh. And yeah, she's really worked hard on this, and it's been a couple, 3 months in the works, and so so thank you, Nikki, really. And but there's more than just a surface level. There's a lot of behind the scenes stuff that it changes and makes the company better as well. Anyway, so that being said, in Broker Sumo, that's going to be on for a little while. But this month you should log on there and pull any receipts for payments that you might think you need. On occasion, at the first of the year or when it comes tax season, where do I get my expenses? Well, you should be tracking those on your own, right? It's not up to us to track your expenses. We have a copy you can come get in Broker Sumo, but that's going to be turning off, right? So go get it if you want it to make sure you have it. And also just sales data. If you want really granular sales data, you might want to go pull a quick report and export it to an Excel spreadsheet for yourself too. Fair enough? Going forward in Law 47, there's a little button at the top that says, download your 1099. That's worth it, the change, honestly. Because you just go, at the January, you say, okay, go get your 1099s. You go click and download your 1099s. Because in the past, we had to do a lot, it was quite a chore to do. So it's a lot easier now. So so when you get your first check, you'll get an email from Routable, right? To set up your account that you want to deposit into. You can do a micro deposit, that's a couple days, or you can just use your username and password, which is what I do, and then it just links you immediately, and it will deposit your check pretty quick. But the first one might take a day extra because of the communications got to be set up. But after that, it's really slick.
I can see a lot of them are waiting action on the other side, so please watch your emails. We're also giving a call out to remind you to watch for that email because if nothing, we're going to start processing until you get it set up. So that's
Yep.
what we got.
So thank you all for your patience, and thank you, Nikki, again. Reminder, we have a couple different logo versions for you. It's on Basecamp, just to let you know. And then let's talk about writing offers. How's that? Did I spell all that correctly?
Yeah.
Because that's kind of what you're here for. Get out of this. I'll put my glasses on so I can see it. We get quite a few requests from people, can you have a class on writing offers? which we talked about some of it last week, but you literally could have 15 or 20 classes on this. Separate classes. There's so many questions and what ifs and scenarios you can share and that. So we're going to go through some of the basics. Again, we're going to kind of get through the financing contingency was a plan today to kind of work on that and keep moving forward with some more data if we can. But if you have questions, just raise your hand. It's amazing how much we learn from the questions, except you. So yeah, we encourage questions, right? And just want you to know, if it needs to be answered at a different time or place, I'll say it. I'll say, let's get back to that or whatever. So don't be offended if I do that, but we encourage the questions. Don't be afraid, because I guarantee you, if you have a question, there's someone else that likely does. Okay? All right, Shannon, we'll start with you.
Okay, I noticed when I was writing a bio repair.
That's not relevant, we'll come back to it.
That there are two upgraded bio repair denims. There's the 0122, and then there's like the 0122-A or something, and I could not tell the difference between them, but.
So can I come back? I mean, I'm not kidding at this point. Can we come back to that?
Absolutely.
I want to talk about, right, no, because that's a question others are going to have, right? I want to get to it. But I kind of want to go through the offer, at least the first couple pages of the offer, and then we'll circle back on that. Okay? So on the offer, I just want to point out a couple things that are relevant and important. What do you put here on line A? What goes there?
Selling price.
Selling price? Offer price, right? I am offering you $300,000 for this property, right? Pretty straightforward and simple. So when you zip forms and put it there, that's what happens, right? It goes. That's where you want to put the offer price. I'm offering you $300,000 for the above property. Okay. What goes on B? Earnest money deposit. Typically, it's roughly 1%. Yeah, you see a lot about 1% of the purchase price. Is that a hard and fast rule?
No.
Not at all. But if it's a $1 million home, 1% is how much?
100 grand.
That'd be 10%. Yeah, 10,000, right? So does that sound kind of fair on a? Okay, someone's getting a lot of text messages. Right? That's funny. Yeah, mine does it too. Someone's getting slammed with the text message. It's funny. That's my honkity too. So I keep trying to check my phone every time I go talk. Okay, so but here's the earnest money deposit goes, right? When does earnest money deposit due?
Unless you fill in the number, 5 days, 7 days.
You have to fill in a number, but what if you don't fill in a number?
3 days.
3 days. 3 calendar days? Business days? Business days. Is Columbus Day a business day? No. Is Christmas Day a business day? No. Is Christmas Eve?
Yes.
It's a federal holiday you subtract from the days, right? Okay. Where it goes on C?
If they're making an additional deposit.
Who's ever put money there? Has anyone ever put money there? It's okay if you have.
Yes.
I just never seen it.
Yeah.
You have? Okay.
Yeah.
Line
We
C.
had approved a lien was gonna get removed, and then he upped his deposit.
Yeah, so that's where you would use it. My deposit is $3,000 to start, right? 1% of the 300, but based upon certain conditions, I'm willing to put more down as an earnest money deposit. That's what goes on C. Don't put anything on C until you have some sort of trigger stated somewhere else in the offer when that goes in. Because the only trigger here is on a date. But I would write in here C additional provisions if I were to do that. Additional provisions, I would say, once this has occurred, I'm willing to deposit $5,000 more dollars. But how often do you do that?
Rare.
We're not going to spend any more time on it, right? If you come across that, let me know. But be careful with that, because if you put a date and that, you're putting more earnest money deposit down. And is earnest money deposit refundable automatically? It's not. It takes buyer and seller to agree on release of that deposit, right? So you want to be careful about tying up buyer's money without knowing it. Okay, what goes on D?
Balance of to make up A.
Balance of down payment.
So subtract out there.
So I wrote a $300,000, right? And I'm getting an 80-20 loan. What's 20% of 300,000? 60,000. So I'd put how much here? 58, right? 57? 57, thank you, yeah, my math is wrong. You put 57, because 57 plus 3 equals 60. Your down payment, right? That's your down payment. Right? That's what goes here on the loan. Now, have you ever seen this? Have you ever seen a transaction sale fail because someone changed that number?
No.
Do you follow what I'm saying? Contractually, you're saying, I'm putting another $53,000 down, but behind the scenes at closing, if that says 45, have you ever seen a sale fail over that change?
No.
I never have. Right? But just be mindful that you're agreeing to put something down. If you make a change, I've never seen a sale fail. People just want to close. More on that in a moment. What goes on E?
Balance.
This minus these two figures. That's how much I'm financing. Or, excuse me, balance of purchase price. So I'm offering 300,000, I'm gonna put 3,000 deposit, and if I'm paying cash, what goes here?
Nothing.
It's a great question, what do you do?
Nothing.
I've seen both.
Put a zero.
Balance of purchase price here. You can, I've seen people put zero, and I've seen people put the remaining balance here for that to equal zero. They both kind of get the same place. Ideally, don't put anything there. And then just have this minus your earnest money deposit equals that, and then you address cash down here. You address the math of it somewhere else. Make sense? You'd be surprised how many questions we get on page 1. Or how many times we get errors on page 1. It's not necessarily from here, but just kind of in the real estate community, right? Hey, Rick.
One quick question. For sale by owner, and they have no representation.
What about it?
Well, you're still using this document?
This purchase and sales agreement? So
Pardon?
someone's for sale by owner, or are they in the, let me clarify your scenario. Are they in the MLS as a limited representation or just a sign in the yard?
There is no MLS, just sign in.
Sign in the yard. I'd like to write a home and offer on your home. What's the first question you should ask?
Will you pay a commission?
Are you paid broker consideration? Will you pay a realtor fee? And if they say no,
Walk away.
or walk to your buyer and say, will you pay me? If no one's paying me, I can't help you. They're not paying, will you? We can add it to the purchase price if you want, but will you pay me? But then yes, you use the form if you're writing an offer. Again, you see how this class could be like, we could have 30 sessions of this? I mean, because I could go down a whole class just on that question. Yeah, Christine.
I'm just gonna add on that top section, when the seller represents themselves, that's exactly what I put in there, is seller represents self.
Up here?
Yeah.
Oh, was that your question, Rick?
Well,
Kinda?
more or less.
Yeah.
more or
Okay.
less,
Yeah, so-
I was just throwing it up for dialogue and.
No, thank you.
Because
And
it's-
questions leads to dialogue.
We're on page 1, so.
And I need some leading, right? Tell me what to talk about. So you're representing the buyer, right? And if it's for sale by owner, no representation. Up here, I have my glasses on, dang it. Where it says, so I just write a sellers representing themselves for sale or for sale by owner, no representation up here. And leave the boxes blank, and then you just check the one I'm representing the buyer. So all you're doing up here is all parties agreeing who's representing who. Right? I'm representing the buyer, I don't know who's representing you, basically. How fun is that when you have a seller who wants to represent themselves?
I've done it a lot. It's not that
Yeah, Lauren.
In that situation, are you able to speak with your buyer and say, hey, we're gonna negotiate, prepaid and closing costs, and that's where I'm gonna get my commission from?
Sure, you can say that and say, look, they're not gonna pay me any commission. Customarily, I turn to you and say, will you pay me? And if so, here's the buyer broker, is that buyer service agreement? And you fill that out and you stipulate they're gonna pay me $10,000 at closing. How we can do that, we can add it on as a closing contribution. We can do that. But if you need closing cost contribution as well, you got 10 plus your 7, that's 17. So you gotta factor that in, right? Lower the price, you lower the price. So it's just it's just math, right? Versus appraisal. But it's always fun representing the seller, right? Right? A lot of
Yeah.
fun. Or it's always fun representing a non-represented self. It's always fun writing an offer on a FSBO is what I meant to say. Isn't that fun? It's not. Okay, so here, see all the questions and comments? We haven't left the first page yet. See, and moving on to the second page. Fixtures, controls, keys. Get this question a lot too, where, and it's happened frequently. Is Eric Young in here? I saw Eric Young. He must have pulled it out for a minute. And I've seen others who have had transactions, Rachel Bowie and others, where you show up at a transaction and you said, we want the refrigerator and the washer and dryer, and you show up and it's a different one that was there when you showed it. Can a seller do that?
Yeah. They're not supposed to.
They're not supposed to. They could, but can they? Right? They're not supposed to. So how do you address that? Fixtures, control keys.
That's just fixtures. The personal property would be.
Okay, I can't hear all of you. What's that? Raise a hand. I'll call in a hand.
As seen when you write these things as seen when we saw the house on that date or whatever.
Yep, that's one thing you can do. Refrigerator, washer, and dryer included as seen on this date and in the MLS. You can even write model numbers if you want. You can take pictures, see attached photos. You can do that kind of thing too. But I have seen it where someone shows up and there is a used washer and dryer. They went and got $50 and took the good one after closing. Ha ha ha! We closed. They're gonna quick change them out, and away they go. I've seen it. What do you do at that point? What would you like to do? I mean, seller, buyer. This is a small claims matter. I let the agent know they're not going to do anything about it. The only thing you do is small claims. You can't force them to bring it back. So I saw another hand. Did you? I saw a couple more hands. You had a hand up? Nina? Yeah. No. Patrick.
I'm just curious. You're saying as is where is, but what if those were inoperable units? You know, so sure we'll leave you in the fridge.
So we're writing the offer.
Would you write working condition or something like that?
No, you write the offer because you don't know if they're working necessarily.
Right.
And then guess what you're going to have within the next 10 days typically? An inspection, and you're going to find out.
Yeah.
You
Well,
could readdress
washer
it.
dryers, refrigerators. That's the only reason I asked.
But you could be there, right? You can check them, you can open them,
Gotcha.
right? And the other thing, you can get a home warranty. There's a lot of ways, but the seller can't warranty how long they're going to last, right? It's been here 10 years. My parents had a freezer, I think they bought in the 60s, that was still running. And they built things differently back then. And I remember it moving from house to house, right? And I think they finally got rid of it in about 1999 or something, because they just moved. My dad passed away, my mom moved. That's the only reason they got rid of it. But it worked. It was out in the garage, worked for years. So, but you can't warrant. They can't. My point is, they can't warranty the longevity of whatever you have received. Yeah, Pete.
Let me ask this because it actually came up in a transaction recently. Are washers, dryers considered fixtures?
No. Are drapes considered fixtures? No. Are blinds considered fixtures?
Yes.
Blinds are, because why?
They're attached.
They're attached, but they're built for the house. Blinds are custom for the house, right? That's why. Is a washer, dryer, fridge? It's freestanding. They're not included unless you ask for them.
Right.
So Pete, you want the answer? It doesn't matter what I say the answer is. The way to overcome it is write it on here that you want it. So there's no confusion. That's the answer, right? I say they're not. That's my opinion, but my opinion doesn't matter. It matters what's in writing. If you think you want them, ask for it. Don't assume. That's where people get in a bind is, well, I thought drapes were a fixture. Well, no, they're not.
But the drapery rods are.
But the rods might be, because the rods expand, right? I mean, but the drapes built within, cut for the length and width of the window, those are technically fixtures.
But the sale agreement says the curtain rods are.
So that's the other thing. Let's read this. Fixtures shall include, but not be limited to, built-in appliances, built-in. Washer and dryers are not built-in.
Right.
Refrigerators. So is a Sub-Zero, this built-in, is that included? Yes.
Right, yeah, 'cause
freestanding. Only you want to make sure, right?
Right.
Wait, why does Sub-Zero?
Because Sub-Zeros are built-in.
Well,
they're built
a-
into the cabinets. So they're
There's
huge.
a place
They're like
for
this
it
big.
too. It says,
So a refrigerator that's
got a plumb, that's plumb to the
Sub-Zero's,
house?
no, Sub-Zero is not flexible.
Yeah, so a refrigerator plumbed to a house for the ice is not?
No.
freestanding,
No,
right?
no,
So then a
that's
hot
just
tub that's
attached.
plumbed is not?
No.
Not necessarily. My point, here, hold on, here's the answer to this question.
That's the problem.
When in doubt, if you want it, ask for it.
Yeah.
Don't assume that it's connected, right? You want the Sub-Zero stay? Just mention it. Sub-Zero shouldn't move because they're built in.
Yeah.
They're hard in, right? If it's a freestanding hot tub, probably not included, but why create a confusion? Just ask.
The hot tub's a big one that's argued about, so.
But I see built-in hot tubs that wouldn't be, right? They're built into this deck inside of a special room and for a hot tub, well, I would say that's included, right? It's a hot tub room. But when in doubt, just ask, yes.
I've had people ask me lately as they're moving out, you know, I'm representing the sellers, like, do I have to leave the thing that the TV's on, you know, this attachment wall, which
Those
is
mounts.
attached to the mount? And I say, you know, if you want it, take it, because they didn't ask for it, but it is attached.
So people get confused. They think because so I have a nail holding a picture up. Do I have to leave the nail?
No.
I mean, don't get crazy, right? If the point of this conversation is not to debate at all what's included or not included. As a buyer, if you want it, ask for it. As a seller, if you don't want it or want it to not leave it, exclude it. Even if it's offered, just exclude it. Just say, counter it back and say.
Last was all planted shrub. All these people in this last offer we did, they wanted 3 bushes because it was their mom's.
Yeah.
So
They have to ask, right? So as a seller, they countered back and said, exclude these bushes.
Yeah.
You say it right in the listing. That's the real point. The conversation about whether I'm right or you're right about a hot tub or a refrigerator or whatever, that's not the answer. The answer and the right way to do it is just clarify, whether you're buy side or sell side.
I mean, even if it does say it in the RMLS, still include it.
Still
because
include it,
there's been
yeah.
some issues with that.
They'll say,
Yeah.
you see it says freestanding range, it looks like it's in the fridge, it's included, and then you show up and it's gone and say, we didn't ask for it. Well, it's in the MLS. That's probably the biggest confusion you have.
Yeah.
If you want it, ask for it. If you don't ask for it, there's a chance it may not be there.
Right.
As a buyer or a seller, right? Yeah.
I was gonna say, if you're a listing agent and someone wants their shrubs, then you should put it in the remarks and tag them outside.
Yeah,
You know,
and tag them too.
Which shrubs are.
Label them, tag them with a label, yeah. Not included, that kind of thing. And just because you might label it prior to listing or getting an offer, or if it's the MLS, don't assume it's just gonna happen that way. It only matters what's in writing. That's the whole purpose of this, right? I could care less if Roger included or not, or if they're a fixture or not. If you want them, ask for them. If you want to take them, say I'm taking them, they're excluded. That way there's no confusion. Were you raising your hand? Yeah. go ahead.
I have a question, and I've always wondered about this. You've got a freestanding range. You put it in the RMLS as it's your listing, you know, you put it in there because the kitchen includes a freestanding range.
Mhm.
Does that then imply that it comes with the sale? Or
So-
is that just?
So to the point here, really, because has anyone here showed up and the freestanding range is gone?
No.
Has anyone ever done that? I've seen it. It happened to me. I saw it once. You saw it?
Yeah, and the
So
lender
most,
won't let
there's
it.
kind of this unspoken thing where, hey, if it's a range for cooking and all that, although it's not listed on there necessarily, a freestanding range is attached with the plug. Does that mean it's attached to the house versus more than a washer or dryer or a fridge? You see what I mean? But I've never seen anyone take their freestanding range except one time out of all these years. So, again, what's the answer? Put it in. Yeah, put it in the offer. Oh, hold on, I got like 9 hands in the air. Yeah, Simon?
But in the multiple listing flyer, they should have specified range included.
They can't say that
unless you
include,
don't
right?
say it.
Yeah, and just because they put it in the MLS, here's what's happening though, Simon, is people are saying that, not putting it in the offer, assuming I don't need to. You show up and it's gone, they say, well, you didn't put it in the offer. Well, you said it in the listing, I didn't need to. Now you just have now you got an issue, right? To avoid the issue, just ask. I would always just say freestanding range included. Okay, Lauren.
So my question might involve Brian too. So let's say you have somebody who's doing the 1030 exchange.
1031?
Yeah, that. And so you're not supposed to include personal property because it's an exchange. Would the freestanding range count as that, or can you actually have it included?
downtown.
Okay, so you can keep that in this.
The freestanding range as far as that.
Okay.
That's what that.
I just wanna make sure when we're working with that, we're not messing up that exchange.
Right, right.
So what about a fridge?
Refrigerator, I mean, I'll have to double check for you guys. Yeah.
Shoot, I just got a text from someone who needed a document, I'm gonna see if I can get it to him really quick, but I
Where is it?
won't.
Oh, I'm gonna send you Doug Blackwell, he's our 1031 exchange guy, and you can just text him and he'll answer you, okay? He's really good.
So much confusion occurs in real estate because they are assumptions or assumed.
Yeah.
And what happens, the assumed thing, right, you make a what out of whatever. When in doubt, put it in writing. So back to my comment about freestanding range and refrigerator or washers and dryers, just spell it out. It's clear. This is how this is going to work. Is that acceptable to you? Now it's in writing. If I have to go to small claims court or anywhere else, well, this is what's in writing, right? If you do it, if you just limit yourself to the MLS to be your source of, well, there, we're going to include it, it's now open to interpretation. You want to limit, or you want to remove the interpretation and just be really, really clear. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So it's not a debate upon is it or is not a fixture. Doesn't even really. It's relevant at some level, but what's more important is you just spell it out. Stella?
And that section also says that it's personal property and as is and of no value, that doesn't affect the loan.
Yeah, you don't have to add in no value when you do things like that because we're stated.
So where do you write it then? Because you don't say under accept. So if I'm gonna write in freestanding, you put it under personal property. I wanna make sure that the freestanding range is in there. I'm gonna write it right there.
Only the following personal property in as-is condition at no stated value is included.
So you write it there.
Freestanding range, freestanding washer dryer, exclude the plants out front. You can even clarify for them for their peace of mind. If you know the plants are, when I sold my last house, when most of you know this, we had a son that passed away in a car accident. We had two people bring over some specific rose bushes that were planted, and they just grew over time and all that, right? And so I should have, if I wanted those, I should have, because they were sentimental to me, I should have excluded the two rose bushes out front and labeled them, right? And then when an offer came in, I should have countered on exclude. I didn't, but I'm just giving you for an example. I should have said exclude the rose bushes out front, not just assumed, right? Does that make sense? It's because it was important to me, or it could have been, it wasn't, but it could have been something that's very valuable to me or sentimental, like you say. So you just want, remove the interpretation and the assumptions. Well, I thought by putting it here it was enough. It might be with reasonable people, but are you always going to get reasonable people?
Nope.
What's the likelihood of getting reasonable people on the other side? Figure it's zero, right? Just assume going into it zero. And if it's better than that, it's great. I've got a guy I'm working with right now. He's just awesome. He's great, and the communication's great. We okay, let's do this and whatever. And then I've had others where you're just like, oh my gosh. I mean, why is this such a battle? Why is this such a contentious thing? We're just working together to represent our clients' wishes. We're not. Why are you fighting me? You know what I mean? So I saw more hands.
Oh, I just wanted to say, so there was, when I bought my house a long, long time ago, there was a really unusual mirror in the guest bathroom, and it was beautiful, you know, and of course you think, oh, it's a mirror above the sink, you know, that's attached and everything. But I mentioned that I wanted it, and she was gonna replace it with just a plain old mirror, so that would kind of, you know, that was one of those things, if it's a little custom or looks a little, you know, different and you want it, like you said, make sure that you put it down.
It's easier just to clarify it.
Yeah.
Look, we haven't even made it past line 51. You see how many classes we could have on this? I mean, we're 30 minutes in.
Take us 11 weeks.
And guess what? We talked about these same pages last week.
Yes.
I mean, you know what I mean? So do you see how? But we love the fact that we want people to be hungry to learn, right? Because guess what? That saves a lot of questions and a lot of assumptions and a lot of heartache. I mean, oh my gosh, it only takes. Yeah, it only takes one person to tie up. We had one person probably tied up in 18, tied up probably 150 of my hours. And you know why? I'll just tell you why. Some guy up in Washington didn't get a listing from an affiliate office of ours, and he filed a lawsuit. filed a lawsuit because he didn't get a listing. Can you even do that? No.
You did anyway.
But he did anyway. But guess what you have to do? Take your time and deal with it. $10,000 later, 150 hours of my own time, probably. He got dinged from the Corps up there. He got suspended for 90 days and got a huge fine because he wouldn't let go of it. So it was a waste of time. But so my point is, it only takes one bad apple out there to take a lot of time. What's the old saying that militaries don't like to? Okay, this sounds. They'd rather wound people than end their life, because if I wound a person, it ties up 4 more people. There's a strategy. So there's something about that, I swear, in people's minds. Like, if I just tie up him, we'll just. Yeah, anyway. So personal property. When in doubt, spell it out. How's that for? Just came up with that one just then. But reading up here, just so you know, fixture shall include built-in appliances, attached flooring coverings. So are rugs a fixture?
Yeah.
No.
No.
Or carpet? Is carpet? Yeah. Well, okay. Drapery rods and curtain rods are technically fixtures. It says right there, so I misspoke earlier. The rods, but are the drapes?
No.
They're not listed. But if you want the rods as a seller, should you say it? Down or back? Other than that, they're assumed to be here. But if you show up and they're not there, the recourse is hard. Curtain and door screens, storm doors and windows, system fixtures, like plumbing, ventilation, cooling, and heating systems. Actually, show up when your furnace is gone. Water heaters, attached electric lights, and bedroom fixtures, bathroom fixtures. Light bulbs are included. Fluorescent lamps. So I don't think a floor lamp or a table lamp is what they mean. I don't know, but I don't think that's what it means. Window blinds are fixtures because they're made for the home. Awnings. There's some really expensive awnings out there, but again, spell it out. Fences and all planted shrubs, plants, and trees. Except, this is where you'd say, except these shrubs. They're not a fixture. Take them. Right? But I want this stuff. I want to make sure, freestanding range, etc. Enough on fixtures? Oh my gosh, I can't believe how detailed this stuff is. So balance and purchase price, select A or B. Okay? This is where it's your chance to really spell some things out. Buyer represents that buyer has liquid and available funds for the earnest money deposit and down payment, and if an all-cash transaction, the full purchase price sufficient to close the transaction, described herein, and is not relying upon any contingent source of funds from loans, gifts, sale, or closing, other like 401ks, except as follows. So here's that double negative again, where I would say, I'm not relying upon a loan, except, that's really what it's saying. I'm getting a home equity line, which I've already been applied for, but I'll pay for cash. You say something like that there, right? Or I'm selling my 401k stock to do this, or getting a loan. I do have to get a loan. I have available funds, I gotta get a loan to get it. That's where you'd spell it out. But if I'm getting a home equity line, then I can write a check as cash. Am I a cash transaction? Okay, so let me ask you this question. What if I haven't made loan application for that loan yet?
No.
I'm not cash. I am balance of purchase price, other, home equity loan which has been applied for, will pay cash in full from equity line. You just set it right there. And you can set it up here. Third, fourth. If you have not made up, if you don't have access to the funds, you are not cash, typically. If you have to apply for a loan, even a home equity line, you probably should just check balance of purchase price here. And then just spell it out up here and down here. If I have cash available, home equity line, I got $1 million home equity line. I want to buy a $300,000 home. Am I cash? I can write a check, right? So I can check here.
Oh, yeah.
This is an all cash transaction. And buyer has attached a copy of verification with the submission of the letter, or a buyer will provide. What would I provide in that if I have home equity line of credit for $1 million? But proof that I have that, right? Proof that I have access, I can write a check. It's $1 million home equity line, I got $900,000 available. Here's my proof. I'm gonna write a check from there, pay cash. Say, whose job is it, whose say is it if the proof of funds is acceptable or not? It's the seller. The seller gets to say, this is acceptable to me, right? I have literally seen someone provide me a deposit slip as their proof of funds. Is that proof of funds?
No.
Because what if it went in a negative balance account? right? Deposit slip is not proof of funds. What is? I'm sorry, go ahead, Denise, before.
I just wanted to say, when you're providing proof of funds, please have your client's name on there.
Yeah.
A lot of times we give them in the balance of a checking account that we have no idea if it's balance.
Yeah, so, what, like screenshot of a checking account and no name of the account, does that help? It could be Bill Gates, right? Who knows? Someone else's account. So it has to show their name. You can cross off the account number, but you got to show available funds, right? What about a letter from a banker? Will that work? Maybe. Read it to your seller and ask if that's okay. Right? It's not your call. You can't talk to your client and say, look, their personal banker has said this, I've already called them, they've verified it, is this good enough?
If you have that, please don't have your banker send it to us in a doc form where we can change the price.
Yeah, you'd be surprised. Almost all the lenders and banks send you an approval or a letter like that in a Word format.
We do that with lenders too.
Yeah.
We can go in there and change.
You just open it up and you can start editing it. It's crazy. Now that's fraud, right? But the point is, there's an opportunity for it. So we always reply back and say, please send me a PDF version of the attached. Did you follow me? A lot of talking going on out there. Everybody hear that?
Yep.
If you get that, what do?
Send it out. Ask for requests.
That was a bad idea. You reply back and say, please send me a PDF of the attached letter. So it can't be edited. Now, can you edit PDFs?
Yes.
Sure, you can, but at least the margin for that is reduced, right? Yeah, or you can just block everything out and just retype the letter if you're really slimy. Yeah, if you're gonna do it, just do it well, right? So, cash transactions. So there's a lot of variables with this, but cash means I'm writing a check at closing and I'm not dependent on any source of a loan. I'm ready to go. That's what that means. How quick can those close typically? 10 days, 2 weeks, something like that. They can close pretty quick. You just open escrow and they open it and do their prelim and you show up with your checks. It's a lot smaller stack of papers and everything. Okay, balance of purchase price. Let's talk about that. A common box we see missed all the time is that one right here. Don't just check these. The first box, A or B, is checking I am getting cash or I'm getting a loan. So just be sure to we see that missed all the time. About half the time almost. I mean, if I were to look out there and kind of guess. Check A or B, and then the loan type. Conventional FHA, federal VA, and shall not, on this one, shall not agree to pay buyer's non-allowable VA fees. So VA is extra fees, to be aware. Or other. What might other be?
USDA.
USDA could be, what other type of loan? Private money, hard money loan, also called that. What's the other one? I just said it a minute ago. HELOC, I've applied for home equity line of credit. Anything like that you're applying for and need approval on. And why? Because a seller needs to make an informed decision. I'm going to take this based upon this or not. And then, pre-approval letter. Buyer has attached a copy of approval letter from buyer's lender. Or a buyer does not have approval letter at the time of making this offer. If you ever get one in that just has that checked and that's it, counter. And why? There's no time frame here. Right? So you're going to want to check buyer agrees to secure a private approval letter, private seller within 3 business days or bank days or something in here usually. If it's just this one, you got a dangling unanswered question. You follow me? Why?
Yeah.
There's no time frame associated with it. So you want to get a time frame, and I wouldn't go more than about 3 or 4 days usually, typically on it. Okay. Questions? Financing contingencies. If buyer is financing any portion of the purchase price, this transaction is subject to the following financing contingencies. 1, buyer and the property are qualified for the loan for the lender. They both have to qualify. So that's a contingency. If the property won't qualify, or I can't qualify, is this a sale fail? Am I entitled to my deposit back?
Yes.
Promptly. Yep. Lender's appraisal should not be less than the purchase price. Okay? So this is the this is the appraisal contingency basically. So let's talk about that for a minute. You write an offer for $300,000, appraisal comes in $275. Now what? Raise your hand. Now what? You can renegotiate the price. Or
The buyer can come up with a difference in cash.
Yep.
Or buyer and
Either
seller.
one. And so what if, or they can meet somewhere in the middle, right? It's just renegotiating at that point. And what if you can't come to a new agreement? It is automatically terminated in 2 days. And the buyer is entitled to deposit back. Yeah, Pete.
This is interesting, cause I just ran into this not too long ago. Guy's paying $400,000 for the house and putting $100,000 down. So he's only financing $300,000. The appraiser appraises the property for $375,000.
Yeah.
And the buyer claims the sale failed.
Yep.
So it's not the amount financed.
It's appraised value.
Okay.
It's appraised value.
Yeah.
It's got right here, it says, lender's appraisal should not be less than the purchase price.
Money.
What it doesn't say here, it says lender's appraisal shall not be less than purchase price. What it doesn't say is the appraisal should not be less than the purchase price less deposit. It's purchase price. And purchase price is what? Hey.
I think in the case, it was actually not my deal, it was Val's. The lender wouldn't take the loan because the appraisal came in at less than the purchase price. Even though the borrower was putting a large down payment down and they weren't being asked to advance more than the.
Yeah, unless a buyer is willing to pay higher than the appraised value, it doesn't matter how much you're putting down. They're contracted to purchase it at 400 here.
Yes.
And even though he's putting $100,000 down, doesn't mean he can be forced to pay more than $375,000.
But can a lender refuse to loan on that property?
Sure.
Okay. Even though.
Now, what can happen, what fixes that, and this is maybe where the small disconnect is a buyer could have said, hey, look, I will still pay the $400,000.
Right.
But if the buyer was not going to pay above appraised value, no, the lender can't close it.
Right, but the buyer can agree to pay the $400,000 and ask the lender to finance $300,000.
Yeah.
But the lender can't refuse to finance the $300,000 because it appraised for more than they're advancing.
Right?
You know what I mean?
It sounds goofy.
So the lender can't, the appraised value is gonna be, the
Max.
max, okay? So-
Right.
But this guy wants to buy $300,000 because he's putting $100,000 down.
Yes. So the borrower can
Changes
pay over
PNL.
the appraised value if they want to.
Yeah, they just have to come up with their own money.
The lender can't refuse to advance less than the, appraised value.
Just, exactly, with the appraised value.
Yep.
Okay, I got you.
So, important couple things, and here we are, we didn't even make it through page 2 and we're over time. And we could probably do it again next week. So I'm almost done, bear with me. Failure of financing contingencies. You have to keep the people clearly notified promptly. If you receive notification the appraisal won't come in, or something else otherwise cannot occur, you need to let them know promptly. Buyer shall promptly notify seller, and the party shall have 2 days, if not filled in, the following date of buyer's notification to either terminate, so you got 2 days in which you're live and pending, you're still pending for 2 days, unless the buyer terminates or the parties come to a solution in writing. Now, if appraisal comes in low, I'm the selling agent, appraisal comes in low, okay, can I ask for a copy of that appraisal to verify? Should you withhold it from me? Probably not. Well, here's a copy of the appraisal. See, it's low. If he doesn't provide it to me, what am I thinking? You're lying. No offense, but you're not telling me the truth. It's the same kind of thing of a final walkthrough. There's people who refuse to give a buyer a final walkthrough. What are you thinking as this buyer? What'd you do? Are the walls gone? Is the carpet gone? Are all the shrubs gone? Why can't I do a final walkthrough, right? So you should, I know we're dealing with that right now. Go ahead.
So is it legal, the buyers have the right to, or?
So there's provisions in the paperwork somewhere, and just because you don't ask for it doesn't mean you can't have it. My thing about that is, as a seller, why would you deny that? Why would you not let a buyer come do that? That makes no sense to me that you wouldn't allow it.
So if they don't, what option?
Don't close.
If the buyers don't start closing, like, do they lose the?
The earnest money remains in escrow pending all parties agreeing. But you better document it, hey, in writing, hey, if we don't get our final walkthrough, we're gonna need to either extend or we're not closing, we're terminating. One of the two. I would just, as a listing agent, I'd always tell, why would you hide, why would you do that? As a buyer's agent, why aren't you allowing that? What are you hiding? It's an immediate response and reaction. Yeah, Kim.
Well, I was just saying, he wasn't able to advise me, but my dad in Arizona, his agent actually gave the earnest money back, and first of all, the buyer ended up saying to my father, because he was selling his house down there, it's back on the market, by the way. If anybody needs a house in Tucson, it's a beautiful 2-bedroom. But anyway, yeah, she ended up just releasing the earnest money back to the buyer.
The escrow did, without asking.
Escrow did, and I don't know if escrow just got a verbal okay from the seller's agent, my dad's agent. But it was $5,000, and my dad had already done some repairs. He agreed to everything. So the whole bottom line of it is, I don't know if they have a documentation saying, because that's what escrow has, a documentation, both buyer and seller. Do you agree to release the money? So, but they released the money without my dad's permission. He didn't even know. And so anyway, now the money is owed to him. They're going to give him credit for it, I guess, between the agency, the real estate agents, and probably escrow. So, but yeah, make
it's
sure.
It's uncommon
make
an
sure.
escrow company will release without all
Yes.
parties signing.
Yes, so make
So-
sure you agree to it.
If you have financing failure, right here, if A or B, meaning terminate or reach mutual agreement, fail to occur within that time period, 2 days, this transaction will automatically terminate, and all earnest money shall be promptly refunded to buyer. No question. Buyer understands that upon termination of this transaction, seller shall have the right to place a property back on the market for sale upon any price or terms the seller determines at the seller's sole discretion. Just because there's an earnest money, I get that from time to time. I had it from a PB over at Cascade Southbase. He's getting a debate with me. Well, the deposit has been released. You can't go active. Okay, we just did. What are you gonna do about it? Well, we're gonna list pendants. You know what that means? You're filing a lawsuit over which you can't do anyway, and that doesn't hold any. The only reason that holds up is really it wouldn't hold anything up. And I finally said, okay, all right. And I kind of finally caved and said, okay, reline this, which I assumed you knew. And he goes, and that's the last I heard about it. So there's a lot of confusion out there. Some people think that if the deposit's not been resolved, you can't go active. You absolutely can't. You can't hold a seller hostage.
Totally different conversation.
Totally different conversation. Go find a different buyer.
Yep.
And all that's in question now is disposition of the deposit. That's all that's in question. We're over time, and I got a meeting I gotta get to with the PBs. Any final quick questions or anything? We're gonna do it again next week. Keep going.
That's what I was gonna ask. Keep doing it.
We're gonna keep going.
Okay, so
Yeah.
this credit hour today is going to be for page 1 and 2.
Oh yeah, whatever you want to call it.
And the next one we're going to go to 3 and 4.
Whatever you want to call it. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul.
Yeah, make sure you guys have it signed. Credit hour.